Ladies and gentlemen, you were born into a system designed to break you before you start, a school that trains you to obey, not to think, a culture that tells you mediocrity is enough, a society that laughs when you say you want more. They already wrote your story. Lazy, weak, average, forgotten, but here's the truth. They told you how to live from the moment you could walk. Sit down, stay still, do what you're told, memorize facts. Don't question anything. They shaped your entire life without your consent, and you never even saw the trap closing. School didn't teach you how to think, how to lead, how to build wealth, how to dominate physically or mentally. It taught you to be obedient. You didn't learn how to win. You learned how to comply. Now look around. How many of those people who did everything right are actually free? Not many. They're drowning in debt, wasting their lives in cubicles, numbing their pain with entertainment and junk food, stuck in cycles of mediocrity because the system said, this is what success looks like. But it isn't. It's a lie. The real world doesn't care about your report card. It cares about results, strength, courage, competence. The system didn't prepare you for that world. It weakened you for it. You've been told that power is wrong, that ambition is arrogance, that masculinity is toxic. You've been told to be passive, agreeable, humble, small. Why? Because a weak man is easy to control. Because they know the moment you realize your potential, you become a threat to their structure. The structure where you're dependent on a job, on a paycheck, on external validation, on being accepted by people who are slaves to the same system. But understand this, nothing is stopping you except your belief in their lie. That voice in your head that says, I can't, I'm not good enough, that's not realistic. That voice was programmed into you, it's not even yours. It came from teachers who never built anything, from parents who were scared. From friends who quit on themselves and wanted you to quit too so they could feel better about it. The truth is brutal but liberating. You are not supposed to succeed. Unless you escape the system, you're not supposed to build wealth. You're not supposed to be physically dominant. You're not supposed to be mentally sharp and emotionally unshakable. The world is not structured to help you do those things. It's structured to make you predictable and average. And if you accept that structure, you'll live an average life, surrounded by average people, doing average things until you die quietly and no one remembers your name. So what do? You revolt. You become dangerous. Not violent, but capable. You become a man who knows the game and rewrites the rules. You reject the programming and install your own. You educate yourself. You train every day. You build your body not because it looks good on Instagram, but because a strong body breeds a strong mind. You read real books, not the garbage they feed you, but books on power, discipline, finance, and strategy. You build skills that make you valuable in any room. You create income streams that break the leash of dependency. You master your emotions because the world is designed to control you through them. This isn't a hobby, it's a war for your mind, a war for your identity, a war for your future, and every time you skip the gym, waste a day, or indulge in weakness, they win. The system wins, but every time you rise early, execute, improve, and push through pain, you're tearing their narrative apart. You're not here to be liked, you're here to be respected, to become the man who doesn't need permission. The man who walks into a room and changes its energy, not because he begs for attention, but because he radiates power. You're here to become the man who can't be ignored, because he's too disciplined, too strategic, too damn relentless to fail. They don't want you to know this truth. You were born to be great, but they feared what that greatness would do to their fragile world, so they buried it under lies. They told you what you couldn't be. And now that's your edge, that's your fire, you use it. You wake up every day and remember every voice that doubted you, not for revenge, but for clarity. That doubt proves your destiny, because they never say you'll never be him, unless he's already inside you. Hidden, waiting, and it's your job to unleash him. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. So you rip the system apart from the inside, you study it, you outwork it, you outthink it, you outlast it. You become the man they said you'd never be, and you do it so powerfully, so visibly, so unapologetically, that it forces the world to kneel to the truth they tried to suppress. You were never weak. You were just never shown how strong you could be. Now you know. So become him or be forgotten. You wake up tired. Your alarm rings, and the first thing you think is, maybe I'll skip today. I'll train tomorrow. I'll start after the weekend. That's not you talking. That's your emotion talking, the soft, fragile part of you that doesn't want to feel discomfort. That part of you doesn't care about your future. It wants temporary pleasure now, even if it destroys your legacy later. Understand this. Your feelings mean nothing when you have a mission. Winners operate on discipline, not emotion. That's the difference between a child and a man. A child wants to feel good. A man does what needs to be done regardless of how he feels. This is where 99% of people lose. They think motivation is the fuel. They wait for inspiration to magically arrive before they act. But motivation is like a matchstick. It burns fast and dies quicker. Discipline is a furnace. It runs no matter what. It doesn't care if it's raining. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if no one is watching. Discipline shows up. The modern world has glorified feelings. Listen to your heart. They say, take it easy on yourself. That mindset is why so many men are mentally weak, physically soft, and emotionally shattered, because comfort became their god and now they worship ease while their potential rots. But real masculinity, the kind that builds empires and reshapes generations, is built in silence, in sacrifice, in sweat, and in structure. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a relentless mindset. You need to look at your schedule and say, I don't care how I feel, I will execute. Discipline is the reason the elite exist. It's what separates kings from commoners. Look at every man at the top, whether it's in business, fitness, combat, or war. Did they get there because they felt like it every day? No. They became who they are because they built rituals, stuck to systems, and turned discipline into identity. It wasn't something they did, it was who they were. That's the key. Discipline isn't something you apply to one area of life. It spreads. If you control your body, you control your mind. If you control your mind, you control your environment. If you control your environment, you control outcomes. That's how men win, one brick at a time, one habit at a time, one painful rep at a time. Ask yourself, who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when it's cold, when you're tired, when it's raining, when everyone else is quitting? That's who you really are. The world doesn't reward your dreams, it rewards your habits, and your habits are the child of your discipline. It starts simple. Wake up early before the world can distract you. Train your body. Not just for looks, but because a strong body makes a strong mind. Eat like a warrior, not a slave to cravings. Control your screen time. Guard your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Read daily, learn relentlessly, outgrow your former self like it offends you. People will say you're obsessed. Good. Obsession builds champions. People will say you've changed. Good. Staying the same is failure. You don't need their approval. You need results, and results only come when discipline dominates your life. You don't rise because of chance. You rise because you do what others won't. When they rest, you work. When they fear, you move forward. When they procrastinate, you execute. That is the path, that is the price, that is the code of the disciplined man. Discipline is what keeps you alive when motivation dies. It's what drags you through hell and out the other side. It's what turns a nobody into a legend. It's what builds empires from nothing, and once you master it, no force can stop you, not rejection, not fatigue, not even failure. You need to become a machine, not emotionless but unshakable. You can feel tired but still show up. You can feel scared but still move forward. You can feel broken but still perform. That is strength, that is control, that is what makes you dangerous. So the next time your emotions whisper lies to you, take it easy. You've done enough. Skip today. You look them dead in the face and say, I'm not led by feelings, I'm led by purpose. You do the work. You lift the weight. You show up to the business. You push through the pain. You earn your spot at the table. Not once, not twice, but every single day. Because in a world that worships weakness and excuses, the man with discipline is untouchable. And that man is who you're becoming. Look at the world around you. Everything has been designed to make you comfortable. Fast food delivered to your door, infinite entertainment at your fingertips, instant gratification everywhere you turn. The system wants you addicted to comfort because comfort makes you slow, soft, and easy to control. But here's the truth that most men never understand. Comfort is a trap. It doesn't make you happy. It makes you weak. It lulls you into a life of sedation where you don't chase goals, you don't build legacy, and you certainly don't become dangerous. You become harmless, and a harmless man is a useless man. You have to realize that the life you dream of, the power, the respect, the control over your time and destiny, lies on the other side of pain. You won't get there by staying warm, staying safe, or staying average. It requires you to embrace discomfort so deeply, so consistently, that it becomes your advantage, because while other men are hiding from pain, you've already made it your training ground. The average man avoids the cold, avoids the challenge, avoids confrontation. But the man who wants to dominate, he runs toward it. He understands that growth isn't supposed to feel good. It's supposed to hurt. That's how you know it's working. You don't build muscle without tearing fibers. You don't build mindset without battling demons. You don't build a business without risking failure. You don't build greatness without sacrifice. So the question isn't, how do I stay comfortable while succeeding? The question is, how much discomfort am I willing to endure until I win? Here's the truth. Your destiny is buried under everything you're avoiding. It's under the early mornings you sleep through. It's under the workouts you skip. It's under the conversations you fear, the risks you dodge, and the limits you've accepted. Every man wants the reward, but almost none want the pain that comes with it. That's why most will never make it. They'll stay in their safe little bubble, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect moment that never comes. And in that waiting they waste their lives. You want freedom, go earn it in pain. You want wealth, bleed for it in work. You want respect, prove yourself in every battle, every hour, every grind. Because the man who can suffer longer than the others, he wins. You need to become dangerous in chaos. When things go wrong, when life throws fire at you, you don't retreat. You smile, you adapt, you push harder, you look at the suffering and say, good. This is where most break. That means I'm alone at the top. Discomfort is the forge of masculinity. Every king was once a soldier. Every empire was once built by someone who refused to quit when it got hard. You can't complain your way to power. You can't wish your way to greatness. You have to bleed your way there mentally, physically, emotionally. You were not put here to be soft. You were not put here to coast. You were put here to endure and emerge as something unrecognizable, something lethal, something that can't be ignored. If you stay in your comfort zone, you will never build discipline. You will never find your true edge. You will never become the man that people respect, follow, and fear, because comfort is where dreams go to die. Comfort is where your enemies hide, hoping you stay asleep just a little bit longer. So what do? You wake up before the world does. You train when your body begs you to rest. You study when your mind wants to wander. You create when no one claps. You endure when it feels like it's not worth it. And you do this not once, but every single day, because while others seek comfort, you seek control. You learn to suffer now so you never have to suffer later. You learn to live hard so you can live free. You learn to embrace discomfort because that's where the truth is. The truth about who you really are and what you're truly capable of. This isn't a motivational quote. This is survival. This is domination. This is legacy. You either become uncomfortable by choice or you'll be uncomfortable by force. Broke, ignored, forgotten while the world keeps turning. So step into the cold, step into the war, step into the arena where comfort ends and conquest begins. Because the moment you stop running from pain is the moment you become unstoppable. They laughed at you. Good. That's proof you're not one of them when they say you'll never make it. What they're really doing is revealing their own failure. Their own fear, their own limits. They don't hate you. They hate the mirror you hold up to them. Every time you try to rise, it reminds them they stayed down. That's why they mock you. That's why they doubt you. But here's the truth they'll never say out loud. They see something in you they don't see in themselves. That's why their words sting. That's why it burns. Because deep down, some part of you believes them. And that's your enemy, not them. It's the voice inside you that agreed with their lies. You were born with potential, but potential means nothing if it isn't activated. And to activate it, you have to believe in yourself harder than the world disbelieves you. You have to be willing to stand alone, fight alone, build alone, because self-belief is not a team sport. It's a weapon. A man who believes in himself becomes dangerous, because no one can control a man who doesn't need external approval. Look at every successful man you admire. At some point, he was the only one who saw the vision. No one clapped for him. No one posted about him. He was doubted, mocked, dismissed, and that's what fueled him. That's what separated him from the crowd. He didn't break under pressure. He became pressure. That's what you need to do. Don't run from doubt. Use it. Turn it into fuel. Let every insult become another rep in the gym. Let every betrayal become a reason to get sharper. Let every "you'll never be him" echo in your head as you build your empire brick by brick. Because the man they said you'd never be, he's not just real. He's waiting. Inside you, you see self-belief isn't fake confidence. It's not arrogance. It's evidence stacked through discipline. You earn it. You earn it by doing hard things when no one is watching. By waking up when it's cold. By training when you're tired, by showing up when it's boring. That's how belief is built. Through consistency, through resilience, through war. No one owes you belief, not your parents, not your friends. Not society. That's your job. You have to believe in yourself first, even when the results aren't there yet, even when the money's not coming in, even when you look in the mirror and don't recognize who you're becoming. It's lonely, it's brutal, but it's necessary, and eventually something happens. The belief starts to build momentum. One day, someone who doubted you starts asking how you did it. One day, the same people who mocked you say you changed. No, you didn't change. You evolved. You chose growth over comfort. You chose progress over popularity, and now they don't recognize you. Good. Because the man you're becoming isn't supposed to be recognizable. He's supposed to be rare. Uncommon, a reminder that belief backed by discipline shatters limits. You don't need the world's permission to become him. You don't need to fit in. You need to stand out. You need to stand tall when others bow. Speak truth when others lie. Move forward when others freeze. That's belief in action. And here's the secret no one tells you. The more you believe in yourself, the more the world starts to believe in you too. Not because you asked, but because they can't ignore you anymore. Self-belief forces respect. It forces attention. It forces results. But it all starts in silence. It starts in the dark. It starts in the grind. You'll cry, you'll sweat, you'll bleed, but you'll build. And what you're building is more than success, it's identity. It's the man they said you could never be. They don't say that to average men. They only say it to threats. To men with fire in their eyes, to men who refuse to die ordinary. So when they say you'll never be him, don't argue, don't explain, don't post a quote about it, just smile, train, work, execute, and when the time comes, show them. Not with words, with results. Every day you wake up, there's a battle waiting for you, a silent war, no explosions, no crowds, no one cheering you on, just you versus the weakest version of yourself. The version that hits snooze, the version that makes excuses, the version that says, "I'll do it later." That version of you is always ready to win. If you don't prepare for war every morning, that version will take the day from you before you even leave your bed. Success is not one big moment. It's not a grand event. It's not a viral post or a lucky break. It's a series of quiet, consistent victories every single day. You either win the day or you don't, and that choice. It happens in the small things, the mundane, the boring, the routine. The war is daily. The problem with most people is they think greatness is a switch you flip. One day I'll be successful. No, you won't. Because success isn't something you stumble into. It's something you fight for every day. The world belongs to men who treat every day like a mission. Because when you stack days of discipline, you build a life of dominance. Every morning you have a decision to make. Are you going to drift through the day on autopilot, or are you going to attack it with intensity, precision, and purpose? Most people coast. They live the same day 10,000 times and call it a life. But not you. You don't get up to survive. You get up to conquer. You wake up and you move with intent. You train your body because a weak body leads to a weak mind. You manage your time because time is your most valuable currency. You execute your goals with urgency because time is running out, and you don't wait to feel good. You get it done whether you're inspired or not, because winners don't rise when it's convenient. They rise because it's necessary. There's no final victory, no finish line. This mindset isn't something you adopt for a season. It's a lifestyle. The moment you think you've arrived, you've already started falling. That's what the daily war reminds you. You are either building or you're breaking. There is no neutral. You train today not just for physical strength, but for mental sharpness. You read today not for entertainment, but for wisdom. You build today not for likes or applause, but because you owe it to the man in the mirror. The war you fight is internal. You're not proving anything to the world. You're proving something to yourself. Consistency is your weapon. The average man is explosive one day and invisible the next. Not you. You're consistent. You show up, rain or shine. Motivation fades. Feelings change. But when your identity is built on discipline, you become undeniable. You build momentum. You build force. You become the kind of man that pressure can't break. Because you've been sharpening your blade every day, and don't think for a second that life won't test you. It will. You'll face resistance. You'll be tired, unmotivated, even broken. But this is the test. This is the war. Those are the moments that define you. Anyone can perform when things are easy. Real warriors are forged in chaos. You have to wake up and earn it, not once, not twice. Daily, you're building a resume of work ethic, a reputation with yourself, and the deeper that reputation runs, the harder it is to break. You become someone even you can't doubt. That's why the daily war matters. Because the man you're becoming isn't born in bursts. He's born in repetition, in structure, in rituals. He's built through 1,000 battles the world never sees. You're not here to survive another week. You're here to stack wins until your name becomes untouchable. When others are sleeping, you're working. When others are relaxing, you're refining. When others are scrolling, you're studying. That's not obsession, that's focus. That's what separates the elite from the invisible. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask, do I feel like it? Ask, will I win today or not? Because every day is the war, every habit is a weapon. Every choice is a bullet, and every win is a step closer to the man they said you'd never be. Win daily or get forgotten forever. You've heard the truth now. Raw, unfiltered, and undeniable. They said you'd never become him. They laughed, they doubted, they counted you out, and for too long maybe you believed them. Maybe you let their voices become your ceiling, but now that illusion is dead. The excuses are dead. The victim mindset is dead. Because now you know no one's coming to save you, and you don't need them to. Everything you want, everything you were told you couldn't be, it's still possible, but only if you earn it, not with words. Not with dreams, but with action, discipline, consistency, pain. You become the man they said you'd never be by doing what they'll never do. You wake up early, you train relentlessly, you study when others sleep. You bleed for your goals in silence while they scroll for dopamine. You don't beg for validation. You command respect through your results, and every time you want to quit, every time it hurts, every time it feels like it's not worth it, you remember, they said you'd never be him. That's your fuel, that's your reason, that's your weapon, and when the world sees what you've become, they'll understand one thing: you didn't just prove them wrong, you became undeniable. Now go build the legacy. Be the man, become the fire, win the war every single day, because the man they said you'd never be, that man is already in you. Now it's time to bring him out and never let him go.